Hi, everyone. My name is Abuchi, and I am delighted to be with Regine Buettner today. Welcome, Regine. It's International Women's Day, and this year the theme is Choose to Challenge. And Regine is one of many female leaders who's made an incredible difference by challenging inequality. Regine is the global head of human resources for DHL Express, and DHL Express has 100,000 employees in more than 220 countries. So a truly global company. And she's incredibly passionate about her job and loves working with people, really believes in diversity, and has, as the global head of HR, has been at the helm of leading the charge in helping the company become recognized as number two on the list of great places to work in the entire world. So congratulations, Regine, to you and the rest of the team at DHL Express. A real joy to be speaking with you today.
Bobby, thanks for the really nice welcome. Thanks a lot. Good morning, everyone.
Morning. And so, Regine, we're going to be talking today about women's inequality, and specifically just under this theme of Choose to Challenge. And I'd love to dive straight in and just ask, as someone who's incredibly passionate about diversity, what is it about this topic of women's equality that is so important to you?
I mean, for me, really, I believe in the power of diversity because I am a great believer. Diversity drives ideas and innovation. And this is really important for a growing company, but also for the economy and the society. So therefore, it's really important. And also, even for me, equality and fairness is a human right. So this is even more important for us. And we have a lot of areas in the world where female rights are not so respected like we would like to have and see. Yeah. And we all know also that the female potential is, let me say, not unlocked around the world, not enough. So I think there is really room for improvement. And when I was thinking about it, I also looked at numbers, and the research tells us that, for example, women have the control about $40 trillion of consumer spend. But wow. if you look at, let me say, for example, the European top company CEOs, less than 5% are female CEOs. So there is let me say, a lot of room for improvement. But the positive thing is, in 2020, all new registered companies, 40% of them were owned by women. So it gives a lot of hope that something is changing. And that is really what I really love. And it's not about, let me say, giving advantage to women. It is more to have really treat them equally and make them more visible and believe in the power of women and believe in their talent. And I know, I'm a person who loves the career, and I was always focused on career besides my family, of course. But I know that we have ceilings as women. But I also know that sometimes it's also the perception of the women themselves, and they need to raise their voice louder and come to the table, because this is very important that the females and the women have the, let me say, the self-confidence to come to the table and raise their voice, because they are very talented, and I believe in women, and I believe overall in diversity, as I said.
Wow. Regine, there were so many moments as you were speaking, I felt I just had goosebumps, and it's obvious that you are passionate about this, and just talking, that the first moment of goosebumps for me was when you talked about just unlocking that potential. There are just far too many situations where that women just haven't been able to unleash more of their potential. And it feels like it's a really sad thing for the world and for organizations if that isn't a reality, as you say, that women can just enjoy that equal playing field. I'd love to hear, Regine, just clearly with your experience and being part of a global organization, and you've seen lots of women who have stepped out and who have broken through some of that ceiling. Can you share a story of a woman's achievement that is particularly special to you?
Yeah, I have one really special story to tell, and really touch my heart until now. As you may know, in Saudi Arabia, women were not allowed, a few years ago, women were not allowed to work in an area where men was working. So as Express, we really were thinking what we can do differently, because we need really, let me say, talents, you know, to really work for our countries' subsidiaries there. So, and then our idea was to create an environment where women could work where no male had access to. And then we set up a customer service team there, and so proud to tell the story that one of this customer service, well-educated female is now the head of sales in Saudi Arabia. Another female talent is first choice advisor, and even the HR head is a female now. Can you imagine, in Saudi Arabia 10 years ago, it was not allowed even to work, and now we have this progress, and it shows when you have a program and support it and find new ways and ideas to help and support women, you can make a difference, and you can make the difference also for the society, not only for your own company.
Wow.
I'm so proud about it. When I see them, I really, it's really touched my heart until now.
That's incredible, actually. And even the time frame, because you said, 10 years ago, that wouldn't be possible. We wouldn't have thought of it, but yet here we are now. And hopefully for anyone listening to this, it just reinforces. Sometimes you've got to give it time, but it is possible with that belief and with that support that you mentioned. That's incredible.
Yeah, and sometimes you need to go 2 steps back and you can go 2 steps forward. So that's life, right?
Great. Yeah, absolutely. And again, that's another encouraging thing. I remember hearing someone say that sometimes we overestimate what we can achieve in a year, but we underestimate what we can achieve in 10 years. And so sometimes maybe in a year we move forward and we step back a bit and we think we haven't achieved it, but over time we can push through, which is fantastic. So a great example of a story, a real amazing story of some women who have been supported and achieving great things now. I'm curious though, so even with all of those achievements, what are some of the biases perhaps that you're still seeing today, maybe conscious or unconscious, that are holding people back, the women in particular?
Sadly enough, we all know, we all have bias, and the most important thing is that you realize that you have bias, and everyone has it. Yeah. So what I really, and this is sad enough. Yeah. So, but where I see the positive side is that the society don't tolerate it so much anymore. Yeah. I see that the awareness is that people are talking about, and this is not a topic anymore what you can put under the table. So people are talking about, and this is what I love on this Choose to Challenge campaign this year, because it makes again clear we need to be aware of unconscious or conscious bias, because only if you are aware, then you can change it. And it doesn't matter if it is female, religion, age, it doesn't matter, right? It is important that all have equal quality. So, and this is really what I, on the one hand, what I see is that, on the other hand, where I see the progress, and everyone is, let me say, I would encourage everyone to go to unconscious bias training, because it makes you aware. And this is where we start in the company, so that we really train our leaders, that they realize what unconscious and conscious bias really means. And you see the progress, and you see how surprised the people are. Then you can discuss it, yeah, because it's not about one type of bias. It's really everyone has it, and it makes it even easier to talk about it. And this is a first step in the right side, in the right direction.
I love that, Regine. Some just great insights there. So on the one hand, there is still bias out there, but there's been progress over the years. And you mentioned that you're seeing more and more that in society, things that were tolerated years ago are no longer being tolerated. So that's helping to fuel that challenge and make the conversation easier. But I also love that you talked about the unconscious bias training, because it sort of makes me feel it's okay to accept that we have biases. We just need to become aware of those, and the easier we can make that conversation, the easier it is going to be to bring different topics to the table for us to address. And
also, when you recruit people, if you are aware of your own bias, you can, let me say, when you have a recruiting panel, you can, let me say, add people who have different bias. So then you have really, you find the balance, right?
Sure. Yeah. So being aware of, well, if I'm aware of this bias or that bias, let's sort of balance it out so that I can bring different perspectives to it. Rather than having people who see things exactly the same way.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it sort of goes back to what you said at the beginning of just that diversity is a beautiful thing. We all bring different things and different strengths and abilities to the table, and we miss out as a human race. We miss out if we don't draw on those. So just one more thing I'd love to explore with you, and it sounds we've already started touching on it, but it would be great to hear what sort of action DHL Express is taking to establish equality. What are some of the things that you're doing as an organization?
It's also a very interesting question. When you mentioned we are now Great Place to Work number 2, but it was a very long journey. And a few years ago, the institution, the Great Place to Work institution, showed us where we have room for improvement. And one topic they were talking about was diversity and inclusion. And then we really realized, that we need to focus more on this topic, and we did, and fantastic, right? So and this was where we said, okay, what can we do? And then we created a program. It's called DHL for All, with a clear focus on DHL for Her. And it's about inspiring, connect, and grow, inspiring to create awareness, tell story about what fantastic female we have in the company. You know, for example, the first pilot is a female, flew an aircraft from UK to Bahrain, right, in Middle East. Wow. So this kind of incredible stories, right? Or in Asia, we have in a few countries, we have more than 50% female as executives, right? And you don't know it, but if you start talking about it, then suddenly you realize around the world there are so different, fantastic examples where you really can encourage the woman in this case, but also for others to go in this direction. And this is a kind of an awareness we want to create. And every 3-4 months, we tell different stories so that really the people know what is going on in the company. So connect and growth is all about, let me say, help the female to find their way in the organization. You can think, okay, every female should go their own way, and maybe you have a hard way, they should also have fight for it. I'm saying we can make it much easier for in this case, for our female talent. So what we did was we came up with a mentoring program for our females, really talk about all this stuff, what we were talking now. We really made sure with the support of the global management team that every single female talent has a development plan and a career progression, and we monitor it. We monitor it every 3 months, where we are to achieve our, let me say, aim to have 30% women in executive position in 2025. And we also, let me say, said, okay, we need to do something when we recruit people, because we need to have a balanced approach when we recruit people, and we need to have at least one woman on a short list. So to give equal quality, you can see, where we have talented women, and then we can also hire more female talents. And then at one point in time, we will achieve our target. And I'm always saying, what you don't measure will not get done, so better to measure it.
Brilliant. And of course, I guess, also given the operation that DHL Express is in, of course, really big on measuring and making sure you're monitoring things. So brilliant. It is no surprise. I'm sure anyone listening to this and watching this will say it is no surprise that DHL Express made it to number 2 on the list of great place to work, because first of all, it sounds like it wasn't just a response to, okay, what's going on in the world, but there's already that focus internally on where do we need to grow and how can we get better and what's the room for improvement. And then I loved the focus on the stories, the stories, helping people see what's possible, the first female pilot, and then the emphasis on the mentoring program as well. And let's be intentional, not just say it's possible and not give them the support, but mentor and intentionally look at the recruitment processes and opportunities and saying, do we have a woman that we're interviewing for this role as well? So lots of incredible insights. I'm hoping people will watch this over and over again and make some notes of what DHL Express have done. And not even just so that they make it up the list, but actually, so going back to what you said at the beginning, that more and more women can just experience that opportunity to release more and more of their potential, which would be an incredible thing. Regine, it has been fantastic. I don't know if there are any final words that you would like to share to others who are thinking about this topic of women's equality, any other thoughts that you'd like to share as we wrap up?
I would encourage the women to believe in themselves and plan their career. It is possible. And even if you think it is impossible, believe in yourself, it will be possible and your dream will come true.
Brilliant. Thank you, Regine. Incredible words. Thank you so much for your passion. Really great to speak with you today, and all the best at DHL Express.